Okay. Hi, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about college admissions. We're just about 2 weeks away from the early decision and early actions for November 1st. I'm sure all the parents and all the students are feeling some pressure. So today I'm so excited to have Missy Rodriguez here. And she's gonna talk to us about, how to make sure this process is easier, and we're going to talk about essay, and we're going to talk about what's the next step and how we can making sure that this is a very not stressful process for the students and the parents. Missy, so excited for you to be here today. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is definitely an exciting time in the households of seniors across the country right now. So I'm happy to join in on the fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. So talk to us about a little bit who you are, and just let people to know your background a little bit.
Just a little bit about my background. I went did my undergrad work at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia, where I received two degrees, one in psychology and the other in sociology. I graduated in 1996 and went directly to Teachers College at Columbia University, where I earned two masters simultaneously. The first master's was in counseling psychology, which is definitely my passion, and I bring that with me to my work as a college counselor. And then my other master's is in education. During that time that I was at Columbia from 1996 to 1998, I also became a certified teacher and a certified guidance counselor. So there is no degree with college counseling that I do not have, both being a classroom teacher and a guidance counselor. And since 1998, a lot has changed in the college counseling sphere, as you can imagine. It's been, 28 years. So a lot has changed, and I really pride myself on keeping up to date with the current trends that have been in and out of favor for out the entire span of my career.
That makes sense. You're so knowledgeable about this, especially for me as in having a seniors and also all the juniors out there right now that they should be thinking about this. So let's talk about big picture. So with just 2 weeks left before the November 1st deadline, some of them may know what that means, and you can go into a little bit detail on that. What should student be really be focusing on it right now?
So November 1 is the big day. It's early action, which means you get your answer from a college earlier, and then early decision, which is binding. Those are the two big November 1 deadlines. And so by this point, students really should have their common application personal statement done, and they should be finalizing any supplemental essays that are out there for specific colleges. Um, the common application essay is something that talks about the student's identity and their personal attributes. And the supplemental essays tend to be more specific as to why a student would be interested in that particular college or why a student would be interested in that particular major. And then, in addition to those essays, the application itself is due. So, there's questions about your activities that you've been involved with in high school. So, for example, Simon's daughter would write down that she is a cheerleader for Milburn High School, and she would write a description about being on the cheer team. And these descriptions, while on the surface you think they're easy, you do these activities. But the hard part is that there's a character limit. So you've really got to make sure that you get the essence of your involvement into 150 characters or less for all of your activities. And it allows you to list 10 activities. There's also questions on the application about your high school. How many kids are in your graduating class? What is your GPA scale? Does your high school rank or not rank? So if you don't know the answers to these questions by now, you should be in your guidance counselor's office getting those answers because those answers will be the same for every single person in your graduating class.
And what is some of the biggest mistake, last minute mistake that you see students are making for the during this final stretch?
Oh, procrastination. Everyone has this idea in their head, and it's a false idea that senior year's easy. Oh, junior year's the hard year. We could just breeze through senior year. And I'm sure you've lived through this as I have lived through it myself with two of my older kids and then my youngest, who's now a junior in high school. Senior year is actually the most difficult because not only do you have the pressures of high school and your regular assignments and then your extracurricular activities, you also have your applications and your essays going on simultaneously. So it's really difficult. So procrastination, not necessarily because you're waiting till the last minute, but just being busy is really what you don't want to get into your way. For example, today is October 15th. There are a few schools that are due today. I can't tell you how many students I had last night who waited until the night of the 14th to finalize some essays and finalize their activity list. You've known about these deadlines for a long time. That stuff should be done. And if it's not done, you need to put everything aside and really focus on that today.
So let's talk about essay and the application detail, right? Talk about from an essay standpoint, what is good, like, I know because it's a really stressful topic for most students to write something that's really great, right? So what separate from a good essay to a great one, amazing one that the college admission, they can look at that and say, wow, this is a great person to be at that school.
Okay. Well, that is a really, really interesting question because the way that New Jersey Department of Education teaches in all of the public high schools in New Jersey is very, very different than what admissions officers are looking for in Common App essays. So the way that teachers are have to teach at public schools, it's towards a curriculum. Mostly those are analytical essays, research-based essays, a little bit more on the boring side. Whereas the Common App essay, it's a lot of these kids' first times to really talk about themselves and be descriptive and show rather than tell. So, a basic example of that would be rather than starting off or having a sentence in an essay saying, I am independent, which is a great thing to be, you shouldn't say that. You should describe what that independence is. And your sentence, rather than saying, I am independent, it would say, I've been cooking dinner since I can remember. I've been cooking my own dinner since I could remember. When I was younger, I would bring the step stool up to the counter and climb on top to get the ingredients to put it into the microwave. So that way you're showing independence rather just than stating the facts. I
That makes
love
sense.
Common App essays. They're creative writing, in my opinion. They really tell stories as well. Whereas the essays that most high school kids work in high school, like I said, are more on the boring side and they're fact based. I like the Common App essays to be stories with beginning, middles, and ends with lots of adjectives.
That makes sense. So within the next 2 weeks, if the essay is not perfect yet, what can a student do the next couple of days? Like who they to talk to, how can they tweak it, how to make it like you tell a story and all that, all the good stuff.
This sounds so simple, but I find that it really works. Each student should read their story, I call it a story, out loud. When you read it out loud, you actually hear the word you speaking the words yourself. And you say, "Oh God, this is a little boring," or "Oh, I'm not having fun." Whereas when you hear a story with those adjectives and with those details that no one else can talk about, it really comes to life. So, what I suggest is reading it out loud and really analyzing sentence by sentence. Is this telling or is this showing? And if it's telling more than showing, all you have to do is change the delivery. The topic could be exactly the same, but you just change how you're saying it with more adjectives rather than sounding like a reporter reporting a story. You give those adjectives and you do it in the present tense so the reader can really feel it as if they're experiencing it themselves.
That makes sense. So, and then what are some of the essay things that you shouldn't do anymore that the admission officer looking like, I don't want to read this anymore. I mean, you mentioned it that you don't want to say, hey, and I'm independent, right? What are some of the other example that can make sure that, the admission office don't just like put this essay to just a pile of the, of the application they have?
So, what students need to know is that 9 out of 10 times their stories are not going to be new to admissions officers. Admissions officers have read everything. There's really very few topics that are going to surprise an admissions officer. So, what I like to do is give a couple of warnings of very overused stories. In no particular order. A very overused story is overcoming a sports injury. That's a very, there is, I mean, countless students write about that. You're not gonna, you're not gonna impress an admissions officer that way. They've read it, they've heard it. Another thing is being cut from a team or not getting the lead in a play or not making the chair in the orchestra. These are all been there, done that. They're just very, very bland. And this is an opportunity to really sell yourself. So you don't want to go into the pile of, okay, the person didn't make the first chair in the violin, or this person got cut from their varsity field hockey position. It's nothing new. Another thing, moving. Every other person has moved. They've read that all before. They would rather hear nuances that make you unique. Tell the admissions officer about your favorite hoodie. Tell the admissions officer why you're the only person you know that doesn't like ketchup on their french fries. Tell the admissions officer, and I could speak to this, about your very, very heavy accent and how it comes through at those exact times that you don't want it to come through. Tell them something really unique and special that no one is writing about. You don't want to there's no reason to reinvent the wheel with the topics that have been overdone. Think about something that's just so, most kids haven't cured cancer, unfortunately. So think about something that makes you tick every day. Maybe it's the way that you hug your dog every day when you walk into your house after school. Something just really nuanced that other kids just aren't writing about.
That
You
makes
don't have to put so much pressure on the topic. What your focus should be is less on the topic and more on the story of them getting to know who you are.
that makes sense. That that you're selling yourself, right? So
You're
you want to tell
selling
us,
yourself.
yeah,
Exactly.
you want to tell a story to, with all the thousands and thousands of students who's trying to get into the school, you need to stand out and selling yourself, not just, the typical that, from what you say that, you could be on the varsity team or you can be a certain thing, but tell a story, how you get there and what's the reason why they should pick you, right?
Yes.
Um, so
Yes.
you mentioned mentioned Common App, right? So like right now, most of the colleges, using Common App, and then you can just really like click of a button that you can submit your essay and all that stuff. How important is it for the supplemental essay compared to the main personal essay when you have that?
Oh
When
my gosh, they are so important because the baseline is the Common App essay. That's required. The supplemental essay, like I said before, really gets them to know why you're a fit for that particular school. So you want to show that you've done your research and how you can add to the student body and the community at their school. These colleges, for all you out there who haven't been on a college tour recently, the resources available at these colleges are astronomical. So they want to see how you're going to utilize the resources that they provide for you. They want to be used. And if they are not going to be used, you're not the right applicant for that school.
Yeah,
I could speak even this past weekend. It was parents' weekend for my middle son, who is a freshman. And all the things that he wrote about in his essay, his supplemental essay of why that was a good school for him, I see him utilizing. We walked through the quad that he mentions in his supplemental essay. We ate a meal in the dining room that he spoke about in his supplemental essay. We went to a game in the stadium that he talked about sneaking on during our visit in his supplemental essay. So you really want to connect yourself to what they offer and show how you're going to be part of that and really make it part of your daily life.
yeah, totally makes sense. And how much now, with all the different things that college is looking for, how much does the extra activities, being on a club, and all this stuff count? As Does that carry any points, any weight to
Without a doubt, it does. Because once again, these colleges have so many applicants, they want to choose the right fit. And the right fit for them is based on the activities and extracurricular activities that you have participated in high school. So they want to see how you've already been part of your community, whether that's through work, whether that's through sports, whether that's through music, whatever your community is, they want to see what you're going to bring to them. And so they base that upon your accomplishments throughout high school, whether that's family responsibilities. So that indicates the kind of roommate you would be, the kind of asset you would be to a dorm, whether it is through political, religious, your high school TV station, your high school community service clubs, any kind of thing that you've been part of, they want to see that connected to what they have offered at that college. Um, just on a bigger level. So you want to bridge your high school experiences to what they offer at the college. And if you haven't had time to do some of those high school experiences, maybe because of an after school job or family responsibilities, you tell them that. And there is an option to give an extra essay that says, it specifically asks if you've had 4 or more hours per week of having to commit to a sick family member, providing income for your household, etc. You tell them that because obviously you can't do that and be part of the Key Club all at the same time. So
yeah,
you give all the information you can. You disclose that to the colleges so that way they could make the most informed decision possible about your candidacy.
yeah, definitely. Uh, Now this topic, I'm sure everyone has to have this in their mind, like GPA and test score and all that stuff. And if they're on borderline, in some of the school colleges are still like test optional that you can submit and not submit. Do you think it's beneficial if they're on the borderline? Should they submit the test score to the admission if they don't require it?
Okay, so I would honestly answer that question individually for each person, depending on their particular circumstances and looking at their whole package together. But as a general guideline, if you have a test score and you don't submit it, and it's borderline, the college may assume that your score is lower than it actually is. So oftentimes, and now once again, I personalize this depending on the applicant, but oftentimes I will suggest sending it because it shows that you at least tried and put in the effort. Um, but I will also stress that there is a college for every level. Not everyone is a 4.0 student. Not everyone is a strong test taker. Once again, everything that I do in my office is confidential, so I like to use my own children as examples. And because I am a parent of children who have so recently gone through this Milburn High School system, my oldest son is a senior in college. My middle son is a freshman in college, and my youngest son is a junior in high school. So I am both a professional and a parent. So I see it both sides. And I will say that without knocking anyone, in total respect to everyone, my middle son was not academic. He had other amazing strengths, but he was not academic. So we found a list of schools that were good for his strengths, and he was actually the first person from Milburn High School to be accepted to college last year because we did it correctly. We didn't try to fit a circle into a square. We found schools that were appropriate for a lower GPA and completely test optional. So you really want to be honest with yourself when you go through this process because there are different colleges that are appropriate and inappropriate for every single student out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think student needs to also looking at, think outside the box too. And when they look at it and look at the admission rate, how many people's gonna get admission, if there's a high percentage of admission rate, there's a better chance of getting to that school, right?
Of
And
course.
if you're gonna go apply to Ivy League, that your chances are definitely smaller, and just be knowing is this a good fit for you? Does this school make
You
sense to
have
you,
to
right?
know the fit.
Yeah.
And that's why some of my weaker students actually overperform on their college acceptances because they already know, okay, we're going to look at colleges with higher acceptance rates that are good fits for that student for a variety of reasons. Whereas the students that are very, very high achieving, we can't control the numbers of how many students the Ivy Leagues are accepting. We have no control over that. So sometimes they become more disappointed initially because they've always been met with success academically, and this college admissions that they've worked so hard for, there just aren't enough seats. So you really have to be very strategic with your list and create a healthy list, even with safeties that you would be happy going to. And also with those safeties, oftentimes they could turn into scholarships for those very high achieving students. So those
Yeah.
safety schools can become full rides for other universities. And hey, save that money for grad school.
Exactly, right? Why spend it at
Exactly.
yeah,
So you
definitely.
really, it's
Yeah,
just as important to look at as safety schools as it is to reach schools.
definitely. And now let's talk about some colleges do still interview students in certain degree. And when they do get that opportunity, what do you tell a student, say, hey, this is what you need to do and how you do it?
Well, when a school offers interviews, I always do interview prep with my students because they're just not experienced with interviewing with adults. They're just not. So, I like to really have the student know all about that school, whether it's history of the school, whether it's certain traditions. Is there a spring fling that always happens? Do they have certain things in the fall, sort of like how Milburn has Rocktoberfest? Are there certain things at the college that happen yearly? And so I want the student to be able to tell the admissions officer, once again, why they're a good fit for that school. Not only academically, the interviewers are already going to have the transcripts and if they've submitted test scores. I want the interview to be used as that dotting the I's and crossing the T's as to what makes that student the perfect match. And that has to do with joining that school community and really immersing themselves in what the activities that are going on outside of the classroom.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with that, no, how does recommendation letters, how important is it to to a college admissions, and who should they get those letters from? Is it always just from from teachers and counselor, or could be outside someone that who really know them could spin it differently, and to give them a different, a story, than
Um,
just the typical students
that
recommendation.
totally depends on what each college allows. So some colleges don't even allow any letters of recommendation. So you always want to follow directions. So if a college doesn't allow recommendations, you don't want to get a recommendation from an outside coach who knows you very well because they've specifically said, we do not want recommendations. So you want to follow the instructions, the general, very general guidelines are each college would want two academic recommendations from junior or senior year teachers, and then potentially one outside of school who knows you very well, whether it's through work, whether it's through community service, whether it's through a religious organization. But that is very, very general. The big state schools, I honestly don't know how much they look at them, if any. The smaller liberal arts colleges take those recommendations very, very seriously. Um, I know even myself, I have a college scholarship for a charity, and I read those recommendations and put emphasis on those even more than I put on grades because I want to hear about the person and their and what who they are. But with huge colleges, they don't really have the time to do that. So I would say the big research universities and the state colleges, not so much, but the smaller liberal arts colleges, that takes on a lot of importance.
That makes sense. Now we get switch gear a little bit. Let's talk about parents, right? A little bit about guidance for the parents. Like they all kind of like, all making sure the kids will get the application done, get the essay done, and all this stuff. For those parents who's gonna be watching or looking this later, what's the best way for parents to support their kids right now during this time?
Encouragement, encouragement, encouragement. No negative energy. These kids are feeling so much pressure. They don't need you to ask them 1,000 times, did you do your essay? Did you do your essay? Did you do it? They know to do their essay. Oh, did you fill in this? Did you fill in that? They know this is all anyone is talking about right now. I'm telling you, I walk into ShopRite, people come up to me asking me questions. I go to my son's football game, people are asking me questions. This is the hot topic. So kids don't need any more nagging. Let them be. And if you really, really have this urge to ask them, sneak it in. It would say, oh, so whatever your kid's name, let's just use my son, Mac. Mac, do you need a study break? Let's have some ice cream. And while you're eating the ice cream, get in. Oh, so tell me about your progress. Tell me how it's going. Did you cross anything off your list? Sneak it in there. Don't be banging on the door. Did you do it? Did you do it? You don't have time. You're running out of time. Don't yell. And trust me, I get it. I'm a parent. It's ACTs this Saturday. I understand. I try to catch myself not saying, "Did you study enough today?" I bite my tongue, and that's what I have the tutor for.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm there with you. I try to back off as much as I can. I'm like,
I know. It's
there's
all
time
they're
and
talking
place.
about.
They know the timing. If they want to submit, they could do it. If they don't, it's up to them. They can just do regular decision if they wanted to. But if they want to do, ED or EA, they know what they need to do, right?
They definitely know. I promise they're living under a rock, and no one in Milburn is living under a rock. This is the topic of conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So once the student hit the button, right, on the Common App, so easy now, they can just apply to all different school. What's next for them? Did they just sit and
This is
wait? Did they keep
super
making
important.
sure?
No, they do
Yeah,
not sit and wait. This is so important. I can't stress this enough. You have to check your email and open your portal. Every school is going to send you an individualized email and password to set to have access to that portal for each school. And the beauty of those portals is that they tell you what has been complete and what is missing. So let's just use Rutgers, our state university. They will say, we have received your SAT or ACT scores. We have received your Common App. We are missing your high school transcripts. We are missing your teacher recommendation. So when it says that you're missing something, it is your responsibility as a student to go to the teacher and say, oh, I got my Rutgers portal, but it's missing the teacher recommendation. Can you please make sure that was sent? If you don't do that, that's on you, and your application will be incomplete and it will not be read until it's complete. Another thing that some schools require is called the STARS. It's the self-reported academic record. So some schools, once you submit your Common App, it's going to then say it's now time for you to do your self-reported transcript. So if you miss that, that is on you. You must check your portals. If you do not see a portal within a few days of submitting, number one, check your junk mail. And number two, put in a quick call to the Office of Admissions just to check that nothing got lost.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I know that my daughter is experiencing that right now as we speak, and also some of the school doesn't, they don't use Common App either. So
Right,
you have
like
to
the
do a whole
California
separate,
schools. Right,
yeah.
right.
So
Mhm.
you have to do a whole separate process, and then you're right that you gotta make sure you check your email because like your transcript may not be available or you didn't send it, and that they need to do. Question for you is that let's say November 1st approach and you apply to school and then they send you the stuff late after November 1st, you can still put all your everything together back to them, right? It's not like you
Yes.
have to get everything done by November 1st.
Your part has to be complete. The student's part has to be complete. But if they are waiting on something from school or a teacher, they will give the school or teacher a little bit of leeway.
Got it, like the transcript and type
Yes,
of thing.
yes,
Got it.
yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But a lot of
And then
students who are applying, let's say, rolling admission,
mm,
um, and Milburn hasn't sent out transcripts yet, that's not your fault at all. As long as you've done your part, Milburn will send in the transcripts when they press send.
yeah. So let's talk about that just a little bit. So let's say, they did not do ED or EA, they could do after just do the regular, decision and rolling admission. And what do they need to do? And also the other thing I want to talk about a little bit, you mentioned scholarship, right? Where do they look for those scholarship that they need to apply to?
There are two different places to look for scholarships. One, on the applications, some of the schools will ask, are you interested in our honors college or scholarship opportunities? And you check off yes. And two, outside resources. So you can simply do a Google search, scholarships will come up. You can also go to your guidance counselor. I know my scholarship is available in every high school in the state of New Jersey. So utilize your guidance counselor, utilize Google searches, and check off yes when the colleges ask if you're interested. You're not committing yourself at all by saying you have to fill them out. You're just saying you're interested. And then you decide if you're going to fill them out or not. But I will say the same thing. The scholarships oftentimes are 99% of the times are going to have deadlines as well. And so you have to be on top of that. And a lot of them will also ask for transcripts and teacher recommendations. So you want to stay in touch with your teachers and always be very gracious when you ask them for recommendations and for transcripts.
That makes sense. And let's talk about a little bit about your scholarship. Can you tell about a little bit about your Misty Foundations? And
Oh, my
yeah,
scholarship is very, very, very specific. It is not, it's although it's available in every high school in the state of New Jersey, it's a very target audience. I have a scholarship fund called Missy's Miracle, and it's been around for 11 years. So while I've been working as a college counselor for 28 years, my Missy's Miracle scholarship has only been available for 11 years. And my scholarship, I founded on the 30th anniversary of my own liver transplant. So I'm now at year 41 since my transplant. I was the first 10-year-old to have a liver transplant. And my scholarship is specifically for students who advocate and educate others on organ donation. So it's very, very specific. And there I have over 50 applicants a year for my scholarship. But it's as much as I would love everyone to apply, it is geared for families who have gone through some kind of experience with organ donation transplantation, whether it's from a donor family or a recipient family.
That makes sense. Missy, you're so passionate about, giving, students and parents advice. This is incredible. I can feel it that you're so passionate
I
about it,
love it.
like
I
you're
love it.
talking
It's
about.
in my
But
bones. I've always wanted to be a college counselor. This isn't just something that I fell into. Um, when I was working at Tenafly High School as a guidance counselor, I left on maternity leave when I was pregnant with my oldest son, Jesse, who's now 21. Um, I fell into this private business because when I was out on my maternity leave, people wanted to hire me privately. And it was all out in the open. The principal knew it was all, there was no secrets. It was all very out in the open. And all of a sudden, my job at Tenafly High School turned into my private college counseling job simply because I was out on maternity leave. And ironically, one of my students from back then is now the new principal of Glenwood. So that's amazing. Wow, it comes full circle.
a full circle,
Yeah,
definitely.
full
Wow, that's
circle.
amazing.
Yes, her
Yeah.
mother was my principal who hired me. And
Wow.
yes, now she is the principal at Glenwood. So it really did, it was just so natural. And I don't want to say easy because that makes it sound like I'm lazy, which I'm absolutely not. It just was seamless. It was like this was meant to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even
Yeah,
when I was in high school, I helped kids help with their
that's
college
great.
application.
That's
I
that's
worked in the guidance office as a student mentor, helping people with their college applications. And so this is
absolutely.
always just meant to be. And then through my pro bono work in New York City with kids under the poverty line, I just want to help in whatever shape or form that looks like. I just want to make this process. I cannot lie to you and say that it's not stressful. But I can be honest and say I could help eliminate and alleviate some of that stress. And that's where my counseling background comes in.
Definitely. So before we close, two things. First is that how does people get in touch with you?
Oh, super easily. You can find Missy Rodriguez on Facebook, on Instagram, or you could look up Missy's Miracle. Um, I do not have anyone that works for me. I answer every single call, and I personally answer every single text and every single email. So whether you text me, call me, email me, find me through social media, you are getting me. You will not be lost in the shuffle.
What would be the best email for them to get in touch with you?
Miss Rod, MISROD 13 at gmail.com. Missrod13 at gmail.com is I check it all day long, or texting me 917-913-6731. I take a lot of pride in getting back to people as immediately as possible. I'm really good about that. And like I said, I do this all myself. So someone, if they have a quick question, they'll get a quick answer because it will be me that they're speaking to.
Fantastic. And then one last thing is that what your one piece of advice for a student and parents right now before their November 1st deadline?
Well, the one piece of advice that I would give before November 1 deadline would be the same advice that I would give to anyone in life with whatever they're trying to accomplish. And I hope anyone who knows me in the community that's watching this would agree with this. Um, Smile, smile, take a deep breath. You're going to get through this. You are. You're going to smile, take a deep breath, and then get back to work. Just try to be the best version of yourself. No one is asking you to be anyone different than the amazing person that you already are. Like I said before, there's no high school kid that I know that's cured cancer already. There's no high school kid that I know that has solved world peace or cured hunger. So, or cured homelessness. So be proud of the accomplishments, no matter how big or how small they are. Smile, maybe laugh a little bit, and then get back to work. Nothing is going to be accomplished without a positive attitude. And I really do think that I live my life that way. And I try to um, have an influence on my students that way as well. Don't take yourself so seriously. You have your whole life to be serious. And we all know that this is a serious time. So if you could take a minute and laugh a minute, have a snack. I'm a big Dunkin' Donuts person. Eat a donut, have a munchkin, and really just laugh and smile and then put your nose to the grind and get back to that deadline.
Thank you so much, Missy. Again, this is my name is Simon Westfall-Kwong from the Luxelife Group. Hope you enjoyed this countdown to college admission. And if you have any other topics you'd like to talk about, please DM us up below. And if you want to get in touch with Missy, she gave you her email address and her phone number. If you need more information about Missy, definitely get in touch with us. We'll be happy to help you. You guys all have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Talk to you soon.